Scal, Chris Forsberg, Amina Smith here with you. And the Celtics fall to the Sixers 111-99. And Scal, it just seemed like this Celtics team was in neutral from the very beginning of this game. What happened out there?
Wait. We're up, but weren't we up 10-2?
10-2.
It looked, you know what?
First 4 minutes were great.
At the end of the game, Forsberg, I told you, I said, I looked at the score and I was like, that really doesn't look like how this game played out. It looked like they got beat by 40 out there.
It did not look good. Anytime they needed to stop, they didn't get to stop. And yeah, I mean, I think when you watch this game and you start to unfold, like, what did the Celtics do good? Well, they battled till the end and they made it somewhat respectable. But a little disappointing today that our spacing and Embiid had such an impact. I know he's a great defensive player, but I would expect that somewhere along the lines, Tatum and Brown would have sort of figured it out. I think Brown in the transition in the second half, especially in that third quarter, they had something going, but ultimately it just didn't look like the Celtics were anywhere near that level, at least on this game.
Yeah, and the disappointing part is that there had been progress the last 3 games. You feel like this weekend maybe they could assert themselves, give Brad Stevens a reason to sort of add some pieces here, get the shooters that maybe would have separated them a little bit, throw them a little bit closer to the mix, and yet you see them go out against a team that's in the middle of the East right now but is playing much better, and they just don't look on the same level. And most frustrating is the fact that one run, 28-2, where the wheels come off, and we keep saying this team, for whatever reason, when things start to go sideways, just can't catch itself all the time. And they've been better recently. And, you know, that comeback against the Magic was like, okay, maybe they've sort of figured something out about not letting the wheels come completely off. And yet the turnovers, the disinterest in driving because Embiid's back there, it's just for whatever reason in the moment, neither Ime or the players are able to catch themselves. And by the time you blink, the game's sort of over, or at least you're at a big enough hole where it feels that the prospects of coming back are so daunting.
And Scal, just like you mentioned at the top, at one point the Celtics were up, but then I think about this 28-2 run. Why were the Celtics not able to get out of neutral?
Because they couldn't drive the basketball, or they wouldn't drive the basketball. That's what it all comes down to. So if you play perimeter basketball and then you're not driving with force, you're not going to get guys to fully commit. At that point, you're going to give up deflections, which is going to lead out to easy buckets the other way. So no matter what, no matter who you're playing with, you have to get the ball to the paint. No matter what. If it's you want to throw it in there to kick it out, I think the best thing to do is for Tatum and Brown to drive it in there. And then once you draw 2, you play. You don't have to force it, but you have to have the intent of, I am going to score. And then when you see Embiid there, throw it up to Rob Williams. If a guard cracks back on Rob, then you kick it out to the perimeter and you play from there. So you go an entire quarter after being up. And by the way, when we were up 10-4, it was all jumpers anyway.
Right.
So there was never a moment in a tight game where we were attacking the paint and saying, this is what we're going to do all game. So if you're going to play that perimeter game, you can do that. You can win. You have to shoot absolutely lights out, and then the other team has to miss. So I think that's too much rolling the dice of saying, like, okay, we're going to win this game if we make all of our shots and they miss all of their shots.
And what did we say coming in? That after watching the other night against the Pacers, we just wanted to play with force. That Jalen and Jason were out there and attacking and felt like they wanted to take over that game, and there was never a semblance of that. And I'm okay with it. Like, they're not going to be great every night. They're going to have rough shooting nights like Tatum have, but don't compound it with turnovers and like lazy turnovers at times where the ball is just like the simplest of passes and all of a sudden they're going the other way. You're just not good enough of an offense to survive all these turnovers, and just, I mean, it's just careless at times. I can live with some, you're trying to move the ball and something bad happens. These are just simple neck swing passes and just giving it up.
Yeah, and the Sixers, they had 31 points off of the 20 Celtics turnovers. Scal, just how much did that hurt Boston tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you have no chance of winning any games giving up 31 points off of turnovers. You don't. And most of them, in my opinion, were live ball turnovers. They weren't throwing the ball out of bounds. They're throwing the ball at the Sixers, and they were going. I like, Chris had that, what was it, WebEx, right? You talk about in the half court only giving up 89 points per 100. That's amazing. But you give up turnovers and they get out. And also a missed layup or you get your shot blocked, that's also, in my world, sort of like a live ball turnover. And those end up being layups or you're in rotation giving up a wide open transition three.
Well,
So-
I didn't give that number. Like, they were giving up 180 points per 100 possessions in transition, but the number was actually worse off of missed shots and live balls than it was off steals, because for whatever reason, this team just doesn't get back. It is when their offense starts to drag, they have this propensity to not get back and get set, when that's all their lifeblood of their defense. And that was frustrating. It was up at like 233 points per 100
that
possessions.
was just this game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
But that's still,
that's a small sample size.
But I understand that, but you should never be giving up that much in a game like this where you're trying to sort of assert yourself, and it hammers home the fact to me that they get discouraged, and it's unfortunate. And the other part of it is the offense just isn't good enough. So they were at like 79 points per 100 possessions at one point for the Celtics. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
And it was like the intensity and the pace of this game was very slow, Scal.
Yeah.
How much did that play into their loss tonight?
You're not going to beat Joel Embiid doing that.
Yeah.
Or, well, I can't say it like that because basketball is never black and white. It's always gray. But more times than not, you're going to have to be lights out, and then the other team is going to have to miss. So you can, but the strategy of playing slow and allowing Embiid to set up defensively I just don't feel like that's a conducive strategy to having the best chance of winning. So that's going into this game. I thought you want to play fast, you want to try to attack, you want to get Embiid on the move, you want to keep Robert Williams relocating underneath. Like, I just didn't feel like any of that stuff happened consistently today. And that's why, like, this game, even if you get it to 14, there was never a time when we were playing what I would consider great basketball that like the Sixers are making amazing defensive plays. They weren't. They were just solid, and we were making mistakes.